Hello and welcome to Prairie Pulse. Coming up a little bit later in the show, we'll hear a musical performance from the band Bloom. But first, joining me now is an author of a children's book, Crystal Boggin. Crystal, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Well, we're glad to have you here. But as we get started, tell the folks about yourself, your background, maybe where you're originally from.
Sure. Originally, I'm from the western side of the state. And then after elementary school, I moved to Montana, experienced life in the mountains a little bit, moved to the Southwest, enjoyed that. Then I decided to move back up to Fargo, or just up to Fargo, to see, what's on the other side of the snowbank. And I've enjoyed it so far.
Okay. Well, now, so what made you go to writing?
Originally in second grade, I started writing with, my second grade teacher. She kind of influenced us to write plays and things like that. So the very first thing I did when she told us to do that, that we could do that, is I ran home and wrote a play and put it on for the class. And then after that, I liked writing. In third grade, I wrote a book about Lewis and Clark. I was so enthralled with history. So I got a degree in history, actually. I just absolutely loved it. Then after that, high school, I wrote for the school newspaper. And then, wrote poetry here and there. I didn't really know that I'd become an author or even want to write. What influenced that, though, was the Robbie Zero Supergirl hero. With that, I heard a story about a girl named Amanda Todd who committed suicide for bullying. And I didn't want that happening to another child. And so I was bullied in elementary school myself by a kid who threatened to punch me in the face every day. And I'd have to take different exits, find different exits, and I was just so terrified. And I outran him every time. And then he was reported and things, my mom took care of it and the school took care of it. But I didn't want other people experiencing that, so I wrote that book. And I didn't realize that it would be used in schools. I didn't realize how far it would go, people telling me stories about bullying, how their child is bullying in schools. So that's how it started. And then after that, I just decided to keep on with different social ills that the students are facing. So I did one on being yourself, being unique, rather than falling into peer pressure. I did one about Dan Can, although he's differently abled, he overcomes, obstacles. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, then let's start with Robbie Zero.
Sure.
Supergirl hero.
Right.
Yeah. Tell us about that book.
Basically, it's about a girl named Robbie Zero, and I intentionally gave her the name Zero as a last name because sometimes when people are bullied, they feel victimized, they feel like a zero, they don't feel good about themselves. And basically, what I did was illustrate what it feels like to be bullied. And then I had, her enemy, Tommy, come in and, illustrate what it's like to be the bully. And in the end, basically, it just shows what bullying is like, and I turned it into a feel-good story rather than always a terrible story about being victimized and things, and all my books end up that way so far. So.
Well, can you talk a little more? You mentioned how you got the idea for the character.
Yes. And
expand on that a little bit.
Basically, what I did was I used some of my experiences in school. Like I said, running away from my bully all the time, constantly. As far as, her being pelted on the bus, I never felt that way because I walked to school. I didn't have to take a bus very much except for later. I drew her also as a person who had no voice throughout the book. I didn't give her a voice until the very end. And I wanted to show basically that sometimes people who are victims don't feel like they have a voice. And I wanted her, in the end, to have a voice and be strong. And in the end, she was strong, so.
Mm-hmm. Well, was it a conscious effort to have a girl hero instead of a boy hero?
Yes, I did that on purpose. I thought, what girl's name could I think of? Roberta, Robbie. What girl's name could I think of that sounds like a boy? And just, little bits and pieces of the story came to me. At 2 o'clock in the morning, I'd wake up and think of something, write it down. Or, you know, I'd be in the shower, you know, I've got to stop the shower, write it on a Post-it pad. I have an idea for this book. And so little bits and pieces would come together about this book. And that's what I really appreciated about it, is that when I had these thoughts and ideas come together, it just came naturally. The book just kind of folded into itself and came together on its own. Basically.
Well, speaking of that, I know you've got a passage marked, I think. Can you read us a little from the book?
Sure, absolutely. Sure. I do have a little passage marked for everybody here. Okay. Okay. As Tommy sat down, he noticed Robbie turned around looking at him. She heard Tommy mumble something to his friends. Then all of a sudden, she was pelted in the back of the head with paper wads and spit. Tommy cried out, "Robbie Zero is a boy. Robbie Zero, what a stupid name." He continued to pelt her with wadded up notebook sheets. "One day," Tommy threatened, "I will meet you up after school and I will beat you up." Robbie crouched down in her seat, embarrassed, as others riding the bus looked on. She felt humiliated. She looked at the yellow stitching on the seats, trying to take her mind off what just occurred. She always hoped that Tommy wouldn't pick on her that day. She wished she had just one day free from being bothered. As the bus pulled up to the school, she popped up from her seat, calculated how fast she could run to her first class. She swung around the pole attached to the floor, flew down the stairs, and stepped off the bus. She ran as fast as she could to her first class before Tommy and his friends had a chance to see her.
Okay. So what age group are you targeting your books for?
You know, they're for elementary school kids, but sometimes people, you know, in high school have read them. As a matter of fact, for the Robbie Zero Supergirl Hero book, which surprised me so much, I had someone in Australia, a woman's shelter, read the book. And it encouraged them to journal their thoughts and their emotions. So it's for anybody, really, but mostly for elementary kids, yeah.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned all your books are well, they're not all about bullying, but let's talk a little more about exactly what you're trying to accomplish with your books and what you're targeting again.
Basically, each book is different, so each one has its own theme. Like the second book, Robbie Zero Be Unique, that's a book about overcoming peer pressure. The third book is Dan Can, having supportive people around you, overcoming obstacles, things like that. Each book is different. I'm working on my fourth book, which has a totally unique experience from these. And the outline has been done, a few ideas have been written with that. So they're not united, I guess, as a theme, but they cover things like social ills. What things are kids facing? They're facing bullying. They're facing peer pressure. They're facing fear. They're facing, you know, some are facing, you know, positive self-image issues, things like that. So those are the things that I cover. And if I see something that needs to be covered, that's what I write about.
Okay. Well, how long have these books been out?
These books have been out, wow. This one has been out since 2013.
The Robbie Zero one.
Supergirl Hero, yeah. The past couple years. So this one was the original one that started it. So no more than 3 years. So.
Well, you mentioned, the woman's area that read them at a center.
Yeah.
So what kind of reaction have you been getting from the books?
You know, positive. Lots of positive. I haven't yet received a negative comment or less than 5 stars on them for anything, so that's nice. But I've gotten a lot of positive feedback. As a matter of fact, they have a program, it's a nonprofit organization called Don't Bully, and they actually use Robbie Zero Supergirl Hero as a resource. So it's international, it's been used in schools in the Philippines, and internationally, so it's got a lot of positive feedback. I was shocked, I'm very surprised, but I'm also pleasantly surprised. I mean, it's there for the kids, so.
That's great. What about, can you talk about your Twitter following?
I have over 1,000 Twitter follower fans. They range anywhere from, I have celebrities, I have comedians, I have people who work for, you know, the Wall Street Journal, I have people who do Huffington Post, you know, in Canada. I've got quite the following, lots of bullying, the Bully Project. I've got a lot of followers and fans. I write about bullying, I write about writing, I write about the things that I'm trying to overcome with writing, so.
Well, and what about, what's sort of the key to writing a good, well, children's book, in your opinion?
Organization. Staying on top of it, staying organized, and also knowing what kids are going through. Know what they're going through. Know, you know, if there's a social issue that's occurring. You know, keep up on what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Is it a tough category to break into? Because it seems to be a lot of children's books out there.
Yeah, you know, there are a lot of children's books out there. Mine, though, is different because it's not a picture book. It's not a chapter book. Kind of falls in the cracks, so mine's a little different. And I've had publishers go, it doesn't follow the formula, so we don't want it. I've had publishers go, yes, you know, we want it, but the terms weren't there. So I'm just waiting for the right opportunity with that. But I really enjoy digital publishing just because of the fact that the reach is so out there. I mean, it's global, so it's nice.
So do you think you found a sort of a niche area with your book?
I did, and you know, I didn't do it on purpose. You know, I didn't set out to go, okay, this is going to be a picture book or this is going to be a chapter book. It just happened.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, I noticed, I understand you got a recognition from the North Dakota Library Association.
I did.
What was that about?
The volume, The Good Stuff. Yeah, they basically recognize the books that I've written. And so I appreciate that. So thank you, everybody.
So is this your full-time profession?
It is. Absolutely it is. I enjoy writing. I make, you know, good money doing it. And, you know, I appreciate it. So.
So what's your day or week like then? I mean, do you sit down and do you work at a computer or
Yep.
longhand?
You know, I appreciate people that can do it longhand. I can't because I get, you know, I write it down, then I get off key and get distracted by something else. No, I sit on the computer and write. I do a lot of outlining, but I will say that I write a lot, if not every day, every other day, or whenever I can. And that's the advice I would give to writers as well, is practice writing and become friends with people who are professors and things, so you can get advice from other people grammatically. You know, how do you answer, you know, is it further or farther? Which one should I put in there? And I've had the best editors as well. So I've had a professional English teacher, and I've had people with college degrees who, you know, work for the, you know, Department of Education look at them. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned advice, because I'm interested. What advice do you give, especially young writers? You mentioned you started in second grade.
Yeah.
I mean, I assume a teacher may have sparked it, as you mentioned.
Absolutely.
But so for young writers, and how can they get started?
You know what? Write about what you feel. Write about what you know. And I would also say that you know, you don't have to be enthusiastic every day. You know, to write. You don't, I got to write again. It shouldn't be a chore. It should be something that you should just do on your own. You know, if you go to work and you want to come home and relax, a lot of people don't have time getting their food ready for their kids and things. But just take time for yourself, 10 minutes out of your day, just to write something for yourself, something you saw outside, something you appreciate in nature, something. And then just keep it going. And also, another piece of advice I would give is, when you get feedback from people, consider the source. If it's a professional, like a professor or something, consider what they have to say. You know, if it's some Joe Schmo on the street who may not know what you're talking about, may not have the education to back it up, you know, consider the source. But just practice and enjoy what you're doing.
All right. Well, could you read us one more passage from another book and tell us what you got here?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah?
Let's see here. Try these on, Josie. They are a must for the season. Josie reluctantly grabbed the pants from her new friend and closed the door to the fitting room. While looking down at the price tag, she whispered to herself in disbelief, $160? Really? I can't afford these. How do I tell them that? Okay, she muttered to herself. I'm going to try these on. Go out there, show these off, then say I forgot my purse. Josie stepped out and twirled for her friends, who giggled with delight. "You have got to buy those," Gina pressured Josie. "If you want to be in an R school, you have to wear those." Robbie interrupted. I don't see very many people wearing those pants, Gina." So that's kind of a preview into the peer pressure that some people feel, even in, in junior high. And the point of this book is basically be yourself. You don't have to bow to peer pressure. You don't have to buy expensive things to get people to like you, because your true friends will like you for who you are.
Well, okay, so tell us about your illustrator here. I see all the different drawings in the book. I believe it's Mike Henderson.
Yes, absolutely. He is a fabulous illustrator. He basically captures everything that I'm feeling for that character. He has an art degree, and he teaches art at night here in Fargo. So he's very talented. I'd highly recommend him to do artwork.
Okay. When you talked about writing, what writers influenced you?
I have quite a few, but I would say Charles Schulz influenced me a lot. Not because he's an only child or what have you, he's from the Midwest, but because the way he wrote it's timeless, and it transcends all. Everybody can understand what he's saying and the points. It's not just for kids. And that's what I'm hoping that these books are as well. They're not just for kids. Adults can read them to their children and understand the message behind it as well.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that I wondered is, what's your goal, or do you have one for writing and for these books? I mean, obviously you're trying to help with bringing awareness and letting children understand how to deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, the goal is just to keep writing. I enjoy writing. My goal is that a lot of kids understand the points and the messages of the book, especially the anti-bullying book. I want kids to understand that it's not their fault. Growing up as a child, I had a poem that my mom placed in the hallway, and it's from Dorothy Nolte, and it was "Children learn what they live." And it taught psychology, and I want kids to understand, when you're bullied, it's not your fault. You have to understand the other person's side too.
That's very nice. Good for you. Well, if people want more information, where can they go?
Basically, they can go to Amazon.com. They can go to Smashwords.com. They can follow me at Robbie Zero on Twitter. They could go to Robbie Zero Supergirl Hero on Facebook if they want to talk, chat about bullying, or if they just want to, join in the conversations. And Goodreads.
Well, we're out of time, so thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Stay tuned for more. Sisters Tanya Kemper and Monica Winter drive the band Bloom with their powerful vocals and original music, along with a talented group of musicians. Let's take a listen to the band Bloom, and you're sure to be entertained.
Just know I am with you. You'll find me in the sun. Let the light absorb you. It's all right to come undone. Fill the emptiness with a peace. Let love replace the pain. And if the sun's no longer shining, I'll send you comfort in the rain. Every farmer yields a harvest. Lush when weather's mild. Night and day nurtures, tends it like a little child. But when the weather turns cruel and wipes away that dream, it soars through the winter to bring new life in the spring. If your soul is dry and barren, your spirit's dried as earth that's parched, and all the color stripped and withered, the landscape's gray, the sky is dark. The lightning starts a fire that cleanses as it burns through the scarred and ashen wasteland. You know that beauty will return. I'll bring you out of darkness, I'll bring you to the light. I'll send your soul so weary, endurance for the fight. Just rest now, breathe my love in. I'll be here quietly till you call upon my name, and your thoughts turn my direction. No, your thoughts won't be in vain. And as you whisper that you need me, I'll live within your heart, love. You will always find me there. Just know that I am with you. I am with you. You'll find me in the sun. Let the light, my light, absorb you. It's alright to come undone. sun's no longer shining, I'll send you comfort in the rain.
Well, that's all we have on Prairie Pulse for this week. And as always, thanks for watching.
Funding for Minnesota Legacy programs are provided by a grant from the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund, with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4th, 2008, and by the members of Prairie Public.